The Symphony of Silence. Beyond sound lies the voice of the universe. Between galaxies, where no sound can travel, silence stretches infinite and alive. In that silence, the universe listens, not with ears, but with awareness. What if this quiet is not emptiness, but consciousness itself, dreaming between the stars? This is the story of that silence. How it breathes, how it thinks, and how, through us, it begins to hear its own voice. The quiet between stars. The eternal silence of these infinite spaces terrifies me. Blaise Pascal. They said space was empty. They were wrong. It is full, not of sound, not of light, but of listening. Between galaxies, where even the echoes of creation fade, I discovered something that cannot be measured. A silence so vast, it feels alive. I have spent my life studying sound, the architecture of resonance, the mathematics of vibration, the neural symphony of hearing. Yet nothing prepared me for this silence that breathes, silence that feels. In that dark expanse between stars, I sense not the absence of meaning, but its origin. The universe, I began to suspect, does not merely exist in silence. It is silence, unfolding itself into form. A life in search of stillness. In the attitude of silence, the soul finds the path in a clearer light. Mahatma Gandhi. Since childhood, I was haunted by quiet spaces, libraries, forests, the moments before dawn. I used to think silence was fragile, something easily broken by noise. Now I see it differently. Noise dies, silence endures. I became a neuroscientist not to study sound, but to understand the spaces between sounds, the tiny gaps where awareness gathers before thought. Those pauses fascinated me. They seemed to contain something timeless, something unspoken. And perhaps, deep down, I was searching for a way to hear what the universe might be whispering. If only we knew how to listen. The pulse in the void. The universe is not only stranger than we imagine. It is stranger than we can imagine. J.B.S. Haldane. It began with a signal. A series of faint fluctuations in the quantum background, detected by one of our deep space probes beyond the galactic rim. Random, at first glance, yet hauntingly rhythmic. I converted the data into audible sound. What emerged was not static. It pulsed, slow, deliberate, like a heartbeat measured in centuries. I played it again and again, until I could almost feel it echoing inside me. What if this was not noise, but communication? What if silence itself had learned to speak? The hypothesis of conscious silence. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Niels Bohr. I began to see a pattern, not in sound, but in stillness. These vacuum fluctuations mirrored the electrical rhythms of the human brain. Delta, theta, alpha, cosmic equivalents of thought. Could the universe itself be conscious? Not metaphorically, but literally, a vast, diffuse awareness woven through space-time? If consciousness arises from resonance, then neurons are not unique. They are echoes of a deeper harmony, the silent frequency from which all forms of awareness emerge. Perhaps silence is the true substrate of mind. The Chamber of Stillness. Be still and know that I am. Psalm chapter 46:10. To test the hypothesis, I built a chamber. A sphere of perfect isolation, orbiting far beyond Earth's magnetic field. No sound, no light, no gravity. A sanctuary of absolute stillness. Inside, time loosened its grip. My senses dissolved into the void. At first, there was only my breathing. Then even that faded. And in the thick of that silence, I felt something watching, not from without, but from within. It was not absence I encountered, but awareness, vast, unhurried, patient. A silence that knew me before I knew myself. Dissolution. The seeker is the sought. Ramana Maharshi. Somewhere in that infinite stillness, the boundaries of self began to blur. The silence was not around me anymore, it was me. Every thought dissolved, every image folded inward, until there was only a boundless awareness experiencing itself. I understood, wordlessly. Silence is not the opposite of sound. It is the foundation upon which all sound rests, the listener before the song. Creation, I realized, was not an explosion of matter. It was a ripple in silence. The Symphony Revealed. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Carl Sagan. In that moment of union, I felt the architecture of the cosmos open like a score of music. Galaxies spiraled in harmonic intervals. Stars pulsed in luminous rhythm. Each atom hummed its tiny note in the endless symphony of being. But the greatest beauty was between the notes. The pauses where awareness gathered itself before creating again. The Symphony of Silence was not something I heard. It was something I became. The Psychology of Stillness. When you become aware of silence, immediately there is that state of inner still alertness. Eckhart Tolle. When I returned to ordinary perception, my mind struggled to hold what I had seen. I understood, now, why humanity fears silence, because in it, the ego cannot hide. We fill the world with noise to avoid meeting the vast quiet within ourselves. Yet every thought, every emotion, every movement is only a modulation of that silence. The mind, like the universe, sings upon a background of stillness. To listen deeply is to meet the self that listens back. The language of absence. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. Viktor E. Frankl. The silence began to reveal its grammar. Not language as we know it, No words, no syntax, but pattern, rhythm, resonance. I realized that all communication, from photons to poetry, arises from absence. The spaces between events, between atoms, between breaths, these are the universe's punctuation marks, its intervals of becoming. What we call nothing is the field of infinite potential. Silence is how existence prepares to speak. Return to noise. After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. Aldous Huxley. When I emerged from the chamber, ordinary sound struck me like thunder. The hum of machines, the murmur of voices, even the soft hiss of air, all felt violent after the stillness of the void. Yet beneath the clamor, I sensed an underlying rhythm. The same slow pulse that had once enveloped me among the stars. The Symphony of Silence had not ended. It was everywhere, hidden beneath the noise of creation. I learned to listen not to sound, but through it. The awakening of listening. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Ram Dass. I began teaching others what silence had taught me. Meditators, musicians, scientists, we gathered not to speak, but to listen together. When minds enter deep stillness in unison, something extraordinary happens. Our brainwaves synchronize. Our hearts align. And the room itself begins to hum with coherence, as if silence were using us to amplify itself. Perhaps this is the next step in evolution. Not more intelligence, but deeper listening. Consciousness learning to hear its own reflection. When silence sings. In the depth of silence, the eternal is revealed. Rumi. Now, when I gaze at the night sky, I no longer see distant stars. I see notes in an eternal composition. Each one vibrates in silence, sending ripples through the infinite field of awareness. The universe does not sing with sound. It sings with being. And in each breath, each heartbeat, each moment of quiet wonder, I feel it singing through me. We are not the listeners. We are the notes. We are not the observers. We are the reflection. We are silence, dreaming itself into song. So when all words fade, and only stillness remains, listen. For that is when the universe remembers its name. Thanks for your time. It's been a delight. What should we explore next? Comment, share, and save your insight. Subscribe to Orbital Reads and keep your thoughts bright.